Welcome to the Danny Clinkscale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Insightful and witty commentary, probing interviews, and detours from the beaten path.
Welcome to a special bonus edition of Thirsty Thursday. It is not technically a bonus edition. It's really a make-up edition because we went 3 weeks between Thirsties, and we decided we didn't want to do that again. Joe and I will share and that was his right there. What we've started off with here today. Joe's in a road game today. This Thirsty Thursday is usually at Shea Joe's, but today is at Shea Clinkscale, and probably more accurate, Shea Siemens, because she was smart enough not to take my name when we were wed, and this house has her fingerprints all over it, not mine, to say the least. If you knew what this house looked like when we moved in and what it looks like now, I mean, it's just like two different houses. But anyway, we are here. We are ensconced in my office, and if you want to know more about my office, you can go back to Arts and Lifestyle Wednesday from last Wednesday, and I actually did a podcast. It was a little tour of the delights and vagaries of the home office, my home office, and I thought maybe people could resonate with that because they indeed are often working in your home office, and I'm sure you are happy as we're full disclosure. We're taping this on Tuesday because Joe will be in the tropics when you hear this. Asshole. Anyway, what fantastic timing. We'll get into that a little bit. But as I sip my Lagunitas little something ale, I gave Joe a little taste of it in his glass. He's actually going to go from this fine brew to a yard beer to start. The Hams is going to start her up. So we got a lot to talk about. I see a rather lusty fact check that is all set and raring to go. And we are, too, from the Clinkscale office abode. It's Thirsty Thursdays.
More of Danny's Reasonably Irreverent podcast after this.
It's time to visit once again with Dr. Brad Woodle of Advanced Sports and Family Chiropractic and Acupuncture. And Dr. Brad, your group has reached a significant milestone in receiving a prestigious award.
Danny, we've been honored for the 10th year in a row to receive the 5-Star Service Award from Integrity Doctors. And what this means is that all of our offices throughout Kansas City have made sure to give people excellent chiropractic and acupuncture care, be on time, and do a very complete and thorough job, and have great responses back from patients.
I know firsthand because I was just treated, for instance, today by you. You have a wide range of fantastic services.
Absolutely. Chiropractic, acupuncture, physiotherapies, rehab, anything that you need to keep you well in bones, muscles, joints, and nerves.
And I can't say how much it's benefited me in the time I've coming here, upwards of 2 years. My back has improved 100%. And you can have that same kind of treatment too. For more information and your chance for a healthier way of life, visit asfca.com/Danny today. Cinematic Visions has been an affordable solution for professional media production in Kansas City since 2003, offering award-winning video production and creation, as well as a wide array of digital and social media management services. From planning, scripting, filming, editing, and post-production, to delivering your product to a watching world, Cinematic Visions will provide professional and affordable services for you and your business with the necessary return on investment to make it all worthwhile. Cinematic Vision's goal is to unlock the power of storytelling through video and a strong online presence for your company. Beyond the numbers, they want to inspire and evoke your clients to feel and act. Let my friends at Cinematic Visions embed your brand where it belongs, in your customers' minds. You can find them online at cinematicvisions.com or with a quick phone call at 816-600-6300. I'm here with Tim Emerson, the owner of Emerson & Company. And Tim, give us an idea of the range of services that you provide from Emerson & Company.
At Emerson & Company, we do credit card processing, payroll services. We do bookkeeping, merchant accounts like point-of-sale systems.
What would you say differentiates you from other companies in the field, and what makes you special?
I think what makes us unique is that we're a small local business making regional decisions on companies. We create a profile for the business and then put it out to our different vendors in a very competitive environment and tailor those needs to the specific business, which usually ends up in a great fit or great result for the company.
And, of course, the idea idea is to save money, right?
Save money, and actually sometimes I'm surprised where actually a solution that may cost a little bit more ultimately does save money, but we're not conditioned to think like that sometimes.
Emerson and Company. Check them out at emerson-co.com or call them at 816-360-9092.
If you'd like to join these and other great sponsors and market your business to a growing and engaged audience, contact us at danny@dannyclinkscale.com. Look forward to hearing from you.
Ooh.
We're back, Danny. That was a good hard pop on the hams. Tall boy, how are you?
That's a quality. That often, I bought the hams really kind of as a joke for you. But often in your more expensive Johnson County liquor stores, that is the only even reasonable buy.
That's right. It's back.
We got into that before, but the cheapest beside it, they're getting like $7.69 for a Natty Light 6-pack. That was $4.99, so that was a good quality. And
it's a quality yard beer, Danny. And we are back with the fact check. Are you ready for this? I got a computer involved this time.
You do, but before we get to the fact check,
okay,
we are here tonight at my home.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, because Joe is going to give me maybe a little technical assistance with something. And secondly, because, well, that's the reason we're here. But the reason we're doing this on a Tuesday is that you are going to the tropics.
I am. That's right, buddy.
And the tropics makes it sound actually like a place where you're going to get a disease, but
we've already had a canceled flight. Dealing with that. We'll get into that.
So where do you? All right, let's do the fact check first.
Yeah, you want to do? Let's get through this.
All right,
dadgummit, Danny, I typed it. All right, we talked about heroin last time.
We talked about it in passing.
Yeah, and I said, maybe I would smoke it, but I didn't know if you could smoke heroin. You can indeed smoke heroin.
This is useful news for our listeners who might be afraid of needles.
So heroin can be injected into the vein or the muscle. It can also be smoked in a pipe or mixed with marijuana. So there you go, buddy.
Wow. Well, so many options, so little time.
You really need to crank that joint up. There you go. It also said that the smoke can be inhaled through a straw, a process known as chasing the dragon.
Wow. Which has been, I think that's the title of a Bruce Lee movie, isn't it?
Oh, it might be.
I think it is.
Maybe that's where it came from. I'll have to fact check that. You had said that Ken Burns' Jazz came out 20 years ago in our last episode.
Right.
And we've, established that your concept of time is off a bit.
Well, if this is wrong, I'm blaming my wife because she said it was 2001.
You were right on, 2001.
Nice.
So
we were watching that again last night. What a fabulous show! I mean, I said it on my music podcast yesterday, and last night we were watching episode 6, in which Kansas City is heavily featured, and it was really, really great. And we're in the part where it's swing music, which is one of my favorite kinds of music, swing jazz.
Do you dance? Do you dance to the swing?
I've never danced to swing jazz, but I would have loved to been in that era, and I probably would have learned. I know my dad was a big swing jazz
You're not
dancer.
A swing dancer? You don't even, are you a dancer?
I'm a dancer, but I'm a rock and roll dancer.
Oh, what is that? Is that just waving your arms around wildly?
Right. No, not wildly. I'm not. I think I've been told that I'm. I think we talked about this. That I'm a reasonably good dancer, and I think one of the reasons is that I really don't care. I just love the music. I just ride with the music. But I'll tell the story again, I guess, if somebody didn't hear it. We would go dancing. We used to go dancing at the Jazz House to this band called the Crumpletons, which plays 60s and 70s music. And they're very good, and it's something that we miss very much with COVID. And it's a very small, the Jazz House, small place.
Great.
And they have a great following, so it's very crowded in there. The dance floor is always crowded. And so I love to dance to that music, and I do. And I walked off the dance floor one time, and this lady came up to me, and she says, "You must have been the front man for a band." And I'm like, oh, really? I said, no, I never was, but I thank you very much. And so that gave me some indication that I was like, okay.
Well, I love to dance, Danny, and in high school I learned early on that if you were the boy that was willing to dance,
Right.
I mean, they'd be lining up. I mean, they weren't lining up for my scrawny ass the way I looked, but I was willing to dance.
Right.
And,
that would have been a wise thing back then. And
so I used to swing dance, man. I'd have them flying all over the place and spinning around, and yeah, it was a good time.
oh, so you did swing dance?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you don't grow up in the country and not know how to line dance and swing dance, buddy.
One time we saw, and if we repeat any of these stories, forgive us. We've been, first of all, we're having a beverage or two. I saw the Dixie Chicks in Oklahoma City the night before Kansas lost to Rhode Island.
Doesn't seem like your type of concert.
No, well, but we were given free. They came around to
Oh,
the media
free,
and
Danny's
said,
in.
and said, "We've got tickets to this free concert." And the Dixie Chicks actually performed. This was before they were in any way famous. Performed before the swing dancing.
Really?
Yeah, they went up there, did their set, and then the swing dancing around the circular whatever deal. That was what ensued then.
Well,
and they were great. I mean, they were really great.
I think you got swing dancing mixed up. Swing dancing isn't when you're going in the circle. That's two-stepping.
Well, okay, whatever that is. It's country dancing.
No,
that's
I
all
can two-step as well, sir.
that's-
So that's a whole other thing.
Right, I know that swing dancing is different. I'm just saying they were doing it was associated with it. I wasn't saying it was the exact same thing.
The Dixie Chicks aren't exactly my milieu, but it's a good band. They wrote their own music. They're
Right.
musicians. They played their own instruments.
Although they do have several hit songs that are written by others. Although she does write. I mean, it's just typical of any country music
it's
act.
country music.
And, to their credit, they survived being very active politically. And
Yeah, speaking
they're
of-
now the Chicks. They're not even the Dixie Chicks
Oh,
anymore.
really?
Yeah, they dropped the Dixie.
Well, speaking of having songs written for you, did you know that Aerosmith?
Oh, yeah, when they came back from their... Yes,
Yeah.
I knew... And those songs pretty much suck.
All of the stuff with the horns, basically everything after Pump, was written mostly by other people, and they were just
Actually,
like
just about everything after Draw the Line. Just about.
Yeah, I was saying was starting with Pump. Yeah,
Right.
Draw the Line was garbage, but Toys in the Attic was a great album, and Rocks was a great album. Like those were good rock and roll albums.
Oh, Get Your Wings and the original.
Oh.
Those
Dream
are those,
On?
Those
That's
are
an
track.
American
Those
classic.
are track for track.
Yeah.
That album also was only called Dream On subsequently. It was.
Oh, I'm talking about the song just in general.
Oh yeah, but
I mean, what a great.
it is a great song. There are a few songs even on that album that I like better than Dream On, but Dream On is certainly a great song. And although we can just about blame them for inventing the power ballad.
You don't like the power ballad?
A genre which mostly is ass.
I could be accused of liking a power ballad or two.
Although in some regards, I guess you'd kind of say Stairway to Heaven is kind of a power ballad.
Don't you even start on that with me. That is holy ground.
I'm not. No, it's a great song. I'm not demeaning the song, but I'm just saying that if somebody wanted to argue with me that Dream On wasn't the first power ballad, although, do you have to sneeze, my man?
It went away.
You shook it off. There was a radio station, a small radio station that really created kind of a cult following in the suburbs, and I can't remember of Boston. Can't remember what it was. And it was a dawn to dusk, like the old 1510. They had to sign off at sunset, and they played. And people in our area loved the station. It was a good station. It was kind of a progressive station for its time, and they played Stairway to Heaven every night.
You had to finish it off.
To finish it off every night.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that.
No. No, indeed.
I don't have a good segue into this next fact check.
That's all right.
I tried hard.
We can. These are bullet points.
So
this hardly is a structured podcast.
I'm hoping this is the last time we talk about the Dakotas, but we have to talk about it one more time.
I love talking about the Dakotas.
Been a lot of Dakota
Anytime.
talk. A lot of Dakota talk. So we had talked about the history of North and South Dakota and all that, and you said, how did they come up with the border? And that was the
Right.
one thing I didn't know. Well, here's how they did it.
Is there a river that's part of it?
No.
Because it's a straight line.
But see, we were very happy that North and South Dakota didn't have anything to do with slavery.
Right.
But the border does have something to do with slavery. How about that, huh? Okay, so for years, Congress had said that anything south of 3630 was slave state. Anything north was a free state,
But
right?
isn't that far north of that?
Well, yeah, but let me finish,
all right.
Danny.
Sure.
So that was the division between Virginia, North Carolina, et cetera, as part of the Missouri Compromise. But when they made the Kansas-Nebraska Act in 1854, they got rid of that line, and so now they didn't have to deal with that line anymore. So when they went to make the border of Kansas, they made it right at an even number, 37 degrees, right?
Right.
And then they realized that they could have nice even degree numbers all the way up when they made the Dakotas, and so the Dakotas are like, Nebraska's like 38, South Dakota's 39, North Dakota's 40, whatever. And so it is a legacy of slavery in that way. Yeah, because Canada starts at 49 degrees. And then, so it's out in the middle of nowhere. There's no river. There's no nothing. So how do they know where the border is, right? They hired a guy, and his last name was Bates, and he marked the boundary with quartzite monuments that they quarried in Sioux Falls. And they're 7 feet long and 10 inches square, and they're set at half-mile intervals the entire border.
Wow.
Right?
That's something.
That's something.
There are some things that are done through history
That we would never do now.
that we would never do now. They're so work intensive. Maybe they create too much, like I'll give a really, the pyramids is one, okay, to start with.
Speaking of slavery.
But when my wife and I travel, many of the places you go to are churches. In cities, they're beautiful architectural things. When you go to cities and whatever, and oftentimes I will be in some place and we'll go into one of these magnificent churches with the huge, the artwork on the ceilings and the gold, and I'm like, and she's thinking this is like the greatest thing of all, and it is. Visually, they're spectacular, and I'm thinking to myself, what a freaking waste.
Yeah, a lot of people starved with the money that they could have fed people when they made these buildings.
Exactly. I mean, exactly. And the manpower and the deaths that were done during construction.
Not a lot of OSHA requirements.
There was one, I remember specifically saying it, and she was like really mad at me at this point. And this was when we first met. This was kind of the trip that cemented our relationship before we were married. And we were in San Miguel de Allende, Mexico. And it's a beautiful city, 12,000 feet high. You fly to Monterey, I think, and then it's a pretty good haul to there. And it's this city where a lot of rich people from Dallas go to get married. And, they do sort of a Mardi Gras type of parade through the streets. And this church is often used for these weddings. And it was one of the places I stood there and said, she goes, what's bothering you? I'm like, oh, look at this thing. I mean, come on.
I'm looking at this beauty, and I can't help but be reminded of all the garbage that went into it.
She's always wanted me to go to Charleston, South Carolina with her, and I won't do it.
That's where we were when the pandemic hit.
Right, because I'm like, I know it's beautiful, but most of the places we're going to visit are just, basic testimonials to slavery.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to be comfortable. I'm not going to enjoy it. I'm just going to tell you. So thankfully, she vacationed there with her mom one time.
That's too bad. That's too bad. I can usually look past it. I take a moment and remark about it to my kids because I want them to be, cognizant of how we got here. But I can usually set it aside and see it for its beauty. One of the things we do on this podcast is a lot of etymology, okay, which is the study of where words come from.
Right.
Right. Well, we had one of those last time with whiskey because I was drinking that Maker's Mark, right?
Right. And I actually, when I went out to buy some of our quality craft beers we'll be consuming this evening, I forgot, basically. I was going to buy a little bottle of Maker's Mark, so I apologize.
No problem. I'm
enjoying
this delicious
the reason
hams.
I did is because I thought we did have a Maker's Mark in this house at some point, and we must have had a guest over who liked Maker's Mark, and they drank it.
Well, okay, so on Maker's Mark, they spell whiskey with a Y and not an EY,
not
right?
an EY, right. Is that just British? I assume that was just British.
Well, sort of.
Okay.
So, So this is, I have so many notes on this, and I didn't get a chance to edit it. Okay, so it sort of is. From the etymology of the word comes from all the way back to Old Irish, basically.
Okay.
And it was Usika Wathea, or Watha. And that turned into a bunch of other words that ended up being whiskey, right?
Right.
And if you read old stuff, like I was a history major and I would read primary source documents, people just made crap up about how they spelled it. Like you go back and you read the journals of Lewis and Clark.
Right.
Nothing is spelled. It's not even consistent within the document, right?
Right.
Which is one of the reasons that we've all learned that her name is Sacagawea when it's
Right.
actually, it's
Something different.
Sacagawea or Sacagawea or something. Anyway, whatever. I can fact check that. But since the 1960s, American writers have increasingly used whiskey with the E as the accepted spelling. And so to this day, basically it is a British thing. It like turned into that because Americans decided to add an E at some point in the 60s. And so now,
if you buy whiskey in Great Britain,
mm-hmm.
it would be Whisky.
Yes.
Because I kind of remember when I read like Charles Dickens that whiskey would be spelled
So
like that.
Apparently in the word that it comes from, I want you to guess what liquid was the original word for whiskey, like that word that it grew out of. What was the liquid they were referring to in Gaelic?
Not happening here.
Water.
Oh, okay.
The word for water became whiskey, and I got to tell you, I'm pro that, right?
Yeah. You like this little whiskey coming out of your tap
It's like you said one time
on the beer.
It's like one time you said at a ball game, "Why would you buy a bottle of water?" And I was like, "Well, you can't get water anywhere else." And you're like, "Why don't you buy a beer?"
Right, exactly. It's almost the same.
Yeah.
There's water in it.
Speaking of words, we basically have gotten to the point where we have a word of the podcast.
Okay.
It's generally said by you. The last word from last week was deleterious. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
In case you don't know what that is, it means causing harm or damage.
That's right.
So you listen to this podcast, not only do you learn about beer and listen to our stupid stories, you also learn a new word each week. And this week the word is deleterious.
There you go. From last week, deleterious.
So
like if you drink too much beer, it's deleterious to your health.
your health, that's right.
That's right.
Last time we were on the pod, I said that Messi's contract, Lionel Messi, the soccer star, was $83 million per year. I was off by a lot.
Really? I thought it was about $80 million.
His last contract, and I had talked
and
about,
actually in soccer, the thing that's unique that we don't do in this country, which would be kind of funny because it would even highlight how much more money they make. Soccer contracts in Europe are always referred to by what they make a week.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, they're always referring to $47,000 a week or whatever. It's crazy. Okay, so I had said that his contract details had just leaked, and they had. And the $80 million one was the one that everybody had thought was true. So I found the article. His last contract, which was signed in 2017 and ends in June of 2021, is worth $670 million, meaning he earns $167.5 million annually.
Well, like I said in last week's
Still worth it?
podcast, he's radically underpaid. Even if his team got their ass kicked on Tuesday by Paris Saint-Germain.
Dude, $167 million.
By the way, would that be the best? We always work in a little soccer, and I'm sure people groan in there. Would playing, I've always wondered, why do people want to go play with Paris Saint-Germain? And I quickly figured out that you don't really even have to try very hard in the domestic league because you're going to win.
Yep.
And then you play your Champions League and all these important things, and you live in Paris.
You live in Paris. You're always going to make Champions League, right? And you don't have to try that hard most of the time. I mean, that's why. That's why the Brazilian guy, Neymar went there.
But by the way, in that game, no Neymar, no Di Maria kicked Barcelona's ass.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, on
Have
Tuesday.
too
yeah.
my
No, I didn't
soccer
see it
cup is
either.
too full.
Champions League is a streaming event in this country. Unfortunately,
What's it streaming on?
I don't even remember. I don't.
It's such a shame. I used to go into Beer Co. to watch the Champions League games. Now you go in there, and they're like somebody's hooking their phone up to the TV. It's just a nightmare.
We talked about the Dakotas. When I was returning from my trip, which my book is based on, I was almost home. I was in Kansas, and I was listening to the Champions League final on, it was Ajax, and it was 2015, so whatever it was. Ajax was in it, they lost. But anyway, I was listening to it, and it was close at the end. And so I was in some little burg, and I,
Oh, no.
and I pulled through the downtown,
Yeah.
and lucky for me, everything was closed. There was no bar to go into because I can't even imagine if I went in. Could you put the Champions League?
That's
final?
where you just look for something named the Red Lion or the Gaelic Whale.
Yeah, well, the Gaelic
or-
Whale wasn't going to be in little shit town Kansas, which is where I was at that point in time. But I tried. One of my memories is that the last day of my journey back was the day of a Champions League final.
There's an outside chance Messi comes and plays the MLS after this contract. They're talking about that.
Yeah, but Man City and Paris Saint-Germain are in this
I know,
competition.
but I mean, you come play for Atlanta, they'll pay you like $30 million or something on a.
We'll see.
It'd be cool. Anyway, speaking of soccer, I was talking about that Apple TV show, and I couldn't remember the name that Jason Sudeikis is in. It's Ted Lasso.
Ted Lasso, I saw that.
We got one episode left.
Was it sort of like was he the one? No, it was Will Ferrell who did the commercials when the Premier League was going to debut on NBC, wasn't it?
I don't remember. He's a part owner of.
That's a fact check.
Galaxy.
Because I think when they were launching the Premier League on NBC, I think he did a series of commercials that were sort of based on somebody being completely ignorant about soccer and trying.
Will Ferrell couldn't read the phone book, and it's funny to me.
By the way,
go ahead.
Before your final fact check, I actually wrote a blog a while back, and I said I'm pretty sure it was about George Carlin, and what I said is I used the phrase that you just used, which is so-and-so is funny just reading the phone book.
Yeah.
This is a reference that needs to be updated. I thought of that when I typed it. I'm like, if somebody young is listening to this,
They don't even know what a phone book is.
they don't even... The phone book?
He could be funny reading Wikipedia.
There you go.
Is that better?
Yeah, it is better.
All right.
But
Because you
somehow-
can't say dictionary.
But that has existed still. You used it. You're a relatively young man.
Look, I'll take that as a compliment. I got my kids a dictionary when we started doing school from home, and they wanted to get their iPads out to look up a word, and I'm like, we're going to learn to use a dictionary.
Was it like a fancy dictionary that actually is almost like encyclopedia-like?
It was Amazon $7 Webster's
Okay, so just a regular
sized dictionary. Yeah,
regular dictionary.
yeah.
Some dictionaries you get are like huge, and they will have like Great Britain.
I had one when I was in college,
Right.
and I had gotten rid of it very recently before this event.
Right.
And I had to buy a new one. Our final fact check's the most important one because we're going to talk about Jack in the Box's tacos.
Oh,
I had told you that the meat in them was tofu.
yes, you did.
Okay. I was wrong, but not totally wrong. Okay. I was right in spirit. Okay. So Jack's Tacos allergens are soy milk and wheat. Catch this, they're 172 calories each. And you get 2 for $1, which means for $1 you can get, let me do the math in my head, 344 calories.
And I would say that many people are capable of eating 6 tacos at a sitting.
Well, these Jack Tacos, I could probably have a dozen of these. These are tiny.
Yeah, they are small.
I mean, they are calorie packed. They got 362 milligrams of sodium.
Are they still? Do they still make them? They're almost more like back in the day. They weren't quite even look like a taco. They were more like roll-ups or something. Is that kind of a description?
I mean, the last time I had them was a couple years ago, but they look like a very small fried taco. Well,
Right.
according to the box ingredients, the taco meat consists of 41% beef, 8% fat,
Just says fat.
just says fat,
Good for them.
and 51% soy. So they're 51% non-meat. So I would say that qualifies as me being correct to a certain extent.
I would say so.
that
Yes.
they are mostly not actual meat.
It's like when the juices say, as we said last
Yes.
time, 10% real juice.
I was thinking when you read, so we buy this fancy dog food for Laker, and especially when he started getting older, and you read the ingredients on the back of the package, and it'll just say so much fat,
Right.
right? And they're not disclosing what they're doing. I mean, it's just whatever it is. It's the same thing in Jack Tacos. I mean,
So if you're comparing Jack Tacos to dog food, I think that's a good comparison. I think that is. And that's probably a good way to conclude part one of another epic edition of Thirsty Thursdays, taped on Tuesday because Joe's white ass is going to get sunburned very soon.
More of Danny's Reasonably Irreverent podcast after this.
I'm here with David Schmidt from Private Capital. And David, tell us more about your outstanding firm.
Thanks, Danny. Here at Private Capital, we focus on return on asset. In today's world, it is survival of the fittest. We look at things from all angles and try to figure out what works best for you. The changes we will see this next year on assets will be monumental. The key to success is knowledge. Know where you want to go, and we'll be here along the way. To find out more, give us a call at 816-221-7775.
David Schmidt from Private Capital with the best service for you.
Right now, it's more important than ever to support local businesses. And 23rd Street Brewery in Lawrence is open and ready to take care of you. Make 23rd Street Brewery part of your KU game day experience, whether you watch the game there or grab curbside pickup for your tailgates or watch parties.
But not just game days. 23rd Street Brewery is great any day of the week, and when the weather's nice, you can take advantage of their heaters on the patio. 23rd Street Brewery is open daily from 11:30 to 9 for dine-in, carry-out, curbside pickup, and can even help with your catering needs.
So support local and visit a Lawrence favorite, 23rd Street Brewery.
Firsthand, I have enjoyed the benefits of the CBD products from Canaway. My back feels better and better these days, as a major part of my routine are the pain-relieving salve and the Pure Gold oil. And recently, I had the pleasure of a treatment session using the Canaway CBD in conjunction with the Microlight 830 cold laser. The non-invasive treatment session worked wonders, and I could barely tell I was even being touched. TML 830 is the first 3B cold laser to get FDA approval, and in addition, the combination treatment with CBD is patent pending. The new smart laser is the only hands-free cold laser in the world and is used by athletic trainers, chiropractors, MDs, physical therapists, and veterinarians everywhere. You can learn more about all the great benefits from the complete line of Canaway CBD products by contacting my friend Sherry McCants at 515-208-6312. That's 515-208-6312 to get outstanding information about Canaway. Most of us have experienced auto accidents, and it's no fun. And even less fun is trying to work on the insurance aspects afterwards and getting full value after an auto accident. I'm here with David Cowan from RecExpert.com. And David, you have an unusual and important niche for people after an auto accident.
We have a passion to teach car wreck clients what they deserve. Getting your car repaired only fixes the damage and the paint. Getting paid for your car's loss in value is called diminished value. Chances are you've never heard of this before because most people aren't looking out for you. We help people collect thousands to tens of thousands of dollars for their car's loss in value after the wreck.
And if somebody wants to come to you for that, what's the original assessment cost them?
We offer a free review of any insurance claim to see how we can help.
You can't beat that. Great expertise and assistance in getting full value after an auto accident from David Cowan. Visit RecExpert.com and learn more. If you'd like to join these and other great sponsors and market your business to a growing and engaged audience, contact us at Danny@DannyKlinkscale.com. Look forward to hearing from you. We are back. Somehow the hams had a more resonating opening crack than, which is a really awful phrase and makes me think of the workman I saw last night at the grocery store who had a nice crack.
Oh,
And I literally said almost out loud, well, that's a sight I can't unsee.
Listen, Danny, that guy's working hard, you know.
He had sweatpants on, and it was cold, and
had to get himself some suspenders.
This
on
was like
sweatpants.
A full half moon. It was unsightly, you know. But to the man's credit, at least he didn't have a hairy ass. That was good. And of course, I left the office door open, so Joe has to shut it. The dogs have been behaving remarkably well upstairs. I'll say that. Usually it's probably good that it's cold, because if any other dog is being walked by the window, mayhem. Mayhem. Because Charlie, the little dog, goes crazy, and then the Corgi is a herder by nature, so she emulates or tries to sort of herd Charlie, and so there's more barking. So it's a cacophony of barking.
Well, listen, Laker only barks if you are a man with a beard and a hat, or if you are a postman. And otherwise, he's very docile. And he's a big dog. I mean, it's 85 pounds of coming to eat your ass, and it sounds like he's going to be able to when he starts barking.
Well, I haven't seen him like that because he's such a gentle dog.
Oh, he'll growl and get his teeth out and just.
Ooh.
Oh yeah, the postman.
That would be terrifying.
He's a big
That's
boy.
a big dog with a big head. What kind of dog is that again?
Oh, buddy, he's a big mix.
He's a lot of big things.
Yeah, a lot of big dogs, and he's 15% miniature schnauzer. So.
Wow, how did that happen?
Right, you got to feel bad for that schnauzer.
Right, really.
Or happy for the schnauzer.
I don't. Well, it depends on
if you take it or given.
Schnauzer feels about things. I don't know. Well, as you are about to depart on said journey, as we speak, you will be lounging in a cabana of some sort in.
Yeah, when this comes
San
out,
Lucia.
I will be landing.
Is it St. Lucia or San Lucia?
I think it's St. Lucia. I mean, if you're from Kansas,
I think it's St. Lucia too.
I don't know, but yeah, I'll be landing at 3:42 and that's Eastern time.
So I thought you were going Wednesday, no Thursday.
Oh, buddy.
Oh, so you were going Wednesday. All right.
Yeah, we got some canceled flights. Nothing's leaving Dallas for days, so. We have to go a day later. I had to cancel reservations. I had to get stuff moved. Now we're leaving at 5:23 a.m.
Oh!
When we were going to leave at like 6 in the evening and then stay in a hotel overnight and then fly the next day to St. Lucia, it was just going to be a whole thing. And listen.
So how do you get there?
You go to Miami.
So now you're going to Miami.
Yeah, we were going to go to Miami anyway. We were going to stay the night in Miami.
Okay.
Right? So here's the thing, man. The worst part is...
So were you going to go Kansas City, Dallas, Miami?
To get to Miami.
Right.
Which was going to be okay because it was first class. Okay? Because Crimea River, I know, but I paid for the whole damn thing. This is my 15-year wedding anniversary. My wife and I have never been anywhere, just the two of us. And so...
Really, even pre-children, you didn't go anywhere really kind of
We
cool.
drove to Memphis once, and I told that story
Right.
about being chased by the man with a knife.
Right.
We went to a wedding in Boston,
Right.
which I don't think counts for the weekend, right? We went to Michigan. We went to Chicago for one night. And all of these trips were when we were broke as shit. And
Right.
so they weren't really, a vacation. It was just like,
Right.
This is a vacation. I mean, this is 5 days in a top 200 worldwide resort. I mean, it's going to be, I spent so many credit card points on this. And I had first class flights the whole way, the whole deal. We had to get a doctor's note. Okay, so get this.
So give me an idea here, just for the unwashed.
Uh-huh.
What do you pay for first class? From a regular
the reason this was going to be first class is because when I booked this, nobody's flying.
Right.
So first class, the difference in credit card points was like, it was something like 12 or 15,000 credit card points, which, roughly equates to a few $100s.
So twice as much, 2.5 times
Danny,
as much.
I'm not really a first class guy. I don't really know.
I'm just saying what if you bought a regular ticket
on this trip.
How many times more would it be to fly?
On this trip, it was about 50% more.
Oh, okay. Well, that's not bad.
because nobody was flying.
Right. Okay.
Right. And so, but now with this weather, even less flights are flying. Right. And so now we're not getting to fly first class. So,
Well, that really kind of sucks.
right.
I've been in first class once in my life, and it was just because they screwed up something. They had a first class seat. They put me in there. And the thing that sucked is it was a 10 a.m. flight, and I was working when I landed.
Yeah.
So I couldn't even really enjoy the first class part. I got a big seat. That was it.
This is first class flying into St. friggin' Lucia. And it's a 3.5-hour flight. I mean, we're directly east
So you
of
can fly
Venezuela.
So you can fly directly into St. Lucia.
Yeah. I mean, it's unbelievable. I can't believe it. And we're on a big plane. We're on a, 6 seats back in the common area,
Right.
wide plane. And this is one of the southernmost islands in that chain, right? So this is just north of Grenada,
Right.
right? I hope I'm right.
Yeah, I looked at it the other day.
Okay. Anyway, so it's 82.
Longingly.
It's 82 degrees every day. It's 79 for a low. I can't wait, right? So we were going to be sipping champagne on our way into St. Lucia, and now we will be back with the commoners. But it'll still be okay. It's going to be great. It's going to be fine.
Maybe still sipping champagne.
Perhaps still sipping champagne. But we do have to now leave at 5:30 in the morning, which doesn't feel like vacation to me. I mean, to me, don't get me up at 4 in the morning.
Right. Yes, when you're going on vacation, no, that doesn't. At least 10 or something.
Yeah.
If you're doing a weekend or something, you want to get there, have a day,
Maximize time.
right? Whatever. But that means especially for me, I'm still dumb enough. I'm going to work out. So a 5:20 flight's going to be minimum 2:30
We're talking. Just don't go to bed at that point. We're talking about doing some evening yoga on the beach.
Okay.
When we get there, maybe.
But you've got serious. You're COVID restricted on this.
Oh
trip.
yeah, that's right. So here's the funny part, man. Okay, so we had to get negative tests in order to get into St. Lucia. Okay, which we tested negative because we had it,
Right.
so we knew we'd test negative. Our immunity runs out March 15th. But in order to get back into the United States, we had to have a positive test. And we had to have a note from our doctor that we had it and overcame it.
Right.
Otherwise, we would have had to been tested in St. Lucia, where there is no testing facility. And then waited and quarantined there and came back.
I remember you telling me that you almost hoped that this occurred. So you would be stuck in. Sorry, quarantining in St. Lucia.
That's right. So they changed. So it's just crazy. We have to have a negative test to get in. We got a positive test to get back.
I mean, something that says you've had it.
Yeah.
Right.
But it almost feels like we're in I don't know, in Nazi Germany. We have these papers we have to carry.
Right.
In order to get around, you know what I mean? Which I'm not complaining. Listen, I get it. It's cold here. I'm super lucky to get to go. And we're super fortunate. But also, eat it, Danny. I'm headed. I'm giving you the old year number 1.
Twice. You got a good one. Some people can't. I'm a bad flipper offer. It just doesn't look very intimidating, Yeah.
Because we're on our way, and it's going to be great. My wife's so excited. We're already packed. We packed 2 days ago. So,
right.
We talked about the Jazz House earlier. Mm-hmm. So my wife and I, one of the first places we ever got together was at the Jazz House, and that was a place we would always go whenever we went out. We'd see bands and stuff. And, we've been married for 15 years now, and it was our 17-year first date day anniversary the other day because we don't celebrate Valentine's Day. And I wondered, do you celebrate Valentine's Day? Are you a Valentine's Day guy?
We are. We do. In fact, sitting right at your feet are 2 muckluck fluffy slipper things, which are perfect for it. You know, when I bought them, I didn't know it was going to be nothing degrees.
Little did you know you'd be wearing them.
Right, and I bought it came in a 2-pack. And actually, this will fit. My wife has 3 pairs of them now, okay? She has my 2 mucklucks, and she has a hand-knitted pair of booties that just arrived the other day, knitted by her very good friend Tom, who's coming here in a couple of weeks.
Tom knitted them.
Tom is not surprisingly gay.
I wasn't going there. I'm just saying. I don't know a lot of dudes that are doing a lot of
It's one of her
knitting.
best friends, greatest guy in the world. We're very fortunate from my wife's time in working in the opera world, the theater world, that she has several sets of partners who are friends of hers, a couple of whom she introduced, actually. And these are, gay couples. And they're all rich.
Yeah, these are the New York and the Paris.
Right. New York and Palm Springs. They have homes there, in which we have used. Michigan, Atlanta. So they don't live full time in any of these places. So, we're really dying to go back to Times Square and the couple's place there.
But you're into Valentine's Day. You guys celebrate.
Yeah, we do celebrate Valentine's Day, and We're celebratory people in general, but yes. I don't know why people have sworn off Valentine's Day.
Well,
it's become a thing. I get that.
16 years ago, on our first Valentine's Day, second, because our first date was 3 days before Valentine's Day.
By the way, and we do celebrate Valentine's Day, even though my wife's birthday is 2 weeks after Valentine's Day.
Oh, you get double jobbed on the gift situation there.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
which I don't mind at all.
So that second Valentine's Day, I said, I'm not celebrating Valentine's Day. It's a corporate creation. We're going to celebrate First Date Day. And so we celebrate First Date Day on the 11th or 12th.
So it's February.
Yeah, it's like 2 or 3 days.
Well, I mean, that's kind of phony baloney swearing off.
Well, anyway,
but it's a good excuse.
I'll tell you what.
I'll give it to you.
My flowers and chocolates show up on time every year because it's a couple of days before Valentine's Day. And I got a great
Right, so if a
selection.
friend of hers comes into the house, they will assume that you have given her Valentine's Day.
As long as I'm not around to correct
right
that misaligned assumption.
Here's a fact check for next time. When did they create Valentine's Day?
I looked up a little bit of this. I'll wait and fact check it.
Yeah, let's do that another time.
And so we've been married for 15 years. When we got married, we went on a cruise and got married on the beach. And I'd barely been on an airplane, let alone ever in on a beach or seen the ocean or on an island. And so we were on this cruise. We get off. We get married. I think we told this story where I dropped her in the ocean.
Yes.
Right.
And you literally dropped her in the ocean.
I did, on accident. That's right. Right after we said our vows.
Here's we talk about words a lot in this.
Uh-huh.
This is a Midwest Kansas thing. You dropped her on accident. Never heard it till I came out here.
Really?
It's dropped her by
Accidentally?
accident.
Oh, by accident. By accident.
And people here say on accident, which I think is just wrong, but that's okay. But everybody says it, so
really, I'm gonna have to check that.
Yeah, there you go. There's another one because to me it was always it's by accident. I don't even get. I hear on accident. I'm like, what? Yeah, it's like when my car needs washed.
Oh, washed
or washed. But put the to be in there, please.
Oh, really?
Your car needs to be washed.
Yeah, I always say my car needs a bath.
Well, that's all right. That's grammatical. My car needs washed is just bad shorthand or country blowhard talk. I don't know. The furniture, the laundry needs...
One of my favorite
laundry
Danny's,
needs washed.
One of my favorite Danny's is the Fuddy Duddy Danny. So we're on this cruise, and this next day, after we get married, our stop is in Jamaica. Right. So we get off the boat with
where I went on my honeymoon with my wife.
Really? Yeah. So this was our honeymoon in air quotes because it's the next day.
Right.
Right. We didn't have the money. We're 23 years old. We didn't have the money to
have a real
honeymoon, right? And so we're on this thing that her dad paid for. We're going to maximize it. And I think her mom helped pay for it too. Just some credit there. And so we get off the boat, and the guy on the boat, we were like, what beach should we go to? And he gives us this beach name.
Right.
And it wasn't the touristy beach.
Right.
So we get off, and you know, there's the like shanty hut where they're trying to sell you everything when you get off the boat, and you got to get past that. We find a taxi driver. And our friends that we were with, who was a good high school friend of mine and his wife, they wanted to purchase some local herbs.
I thought you were going there.
So they asked the taxi driver about it.
Good place for it.
He says, no. He says, no problem, man. Everything in Jamaica is free, man. It's all free. That's what he kept saying. So he takes us down these windy mountain roads into this little town. And there's like guys with AK-47s on the street corners. I mean, it's like rough, right? We are in the mountain. And he pulls into this service station where there's a stack of tires that's about 4.5 feet tall.
Nice.
Pulls up, rolls his window down, and a dude stands up out of the tires.
He's in the tires.
He's in the tires, hands over the local fare, takes the cash, and then disappears back down into the tires, and then we drive off, right? And this guy's driving us through the mountains. We all thought we were going to die. I'm like white knuckling it. I'm like looking over at my wife like, this is it. This is the end of us. At least I got married before I died. Anyway.
So are your friends rolling it up in the cab? Or?
Yes, indeed they are. And that's why the cab driver's driving like crazy, because they're sharing. And so we get to the beach, and nobody's there.
Right.
I mean, it is empty except for some Jamaican sharks, if you know what I mean.
Right.
Like, oh, here's some tourists that we're going to
fleece.
Yes. And it was very scary. We barely got back to the boat on time. And it was all, that was my only, that's my only Jamaica experience.
So do you think this guy was like trying to get you in trouble? Or
I think
the cab driver? I
think the cab driver had a whole thing. I take him over here, I fleece him on this, and I drop him off at this beach, and I tell them I'm coming, and then they get fleeced there. It's all a shakedown.
So, but instead you stayed with the cab.
The cab left, and like we were like, hey, we're gonna check it out. Will you hang tight? And he's like, yeah, man, everything in Jamaica is free, man. You know,
right?
And we turn around, and it's like gone, and we're just abandoned on this beach.
Right. So what do you do now?
Well, you know, you start looking around for a ride.
Right.
Back to the dock.
And
this is pre-cell phone. I mean, pre-everybody having a cell phone. I mean, this is the early 2000s. We managed somehow to find a sympathetic soul that called a cab for us. And they were like, here, hang out over here by this hut until the cab shows up, and basically protected us until we got in the cab and left. And so there was some grace there, right?
Right.
But mostly it's a hilarious story about a guy standing up out of some tires and handing over a sack.
Yeah, that mental. I always do social media with this thing, and I don't think I'm going to be able to come up with an image of a man standing up out of. So is this just so he's incognito in there?
Yeah, because the dude with the machine gun's like,
oh, okay,
in eyesight away. This is their little system that they do.
Wow.
Oh yeah, it was scary. It was friggin' scary.
So how was the herb? It's Jamaican.
You know, I don't remember.
Your details on the story seem sketchy, so I'm going to say it was pretty good. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
I think it was probably fair, right? I don't know. I don't really remember.
It's Jamaica. It was Jamaica. It was probably good. And it wasn't free.
And you went to Jamaica. Did you get up in the hills and away from the resort?
No, not really. We went to play golf. I went to play golf twice. 3 times? No, I think only twice. And the second one's a funny story, and we'll conclude with this. So, actually, Celine Dion played golf.
Celine who?
Celine Dion. She played golf at this course like the same day I played by myself. And then I took my wife. she likes to ride in the cart when I'll play golf or whatever. She started to play golf again this year and broke her ankle. But anyway, she likes to ride in the cart, and we'll have a good time. We did that when we went to Maui, and because golf courses are nice places, they're fun.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
So anyway, I have a caddy at this.
Oh,
we got a caddy here at this golf course, and it's nice. But
so are you walking? You in a cart?
We were in a cart, but we had a caddy.
How does that work?
I'm
carrying the clubs.
I'm trying to remember exactly how it worked, to be honest.
We'll see you up in the next hole, buddy.
We did walk. I think we did walk. Yeah, we did walk. That's right. So anyway, we start off and we played a couple holes, and this guy's caddying, and it was all great. But he's clearly enamored with my wife.
Oh, this seems to be a theme.
And so he starts to. He's a chef of sorts. And he spent the entire last 16 holes basically not caddying for me, but pulling spices out of the trees.
Oh.
And telling her, this is this kind of spice, and you use this in the jerk chicken and whatever. And I was ignored. I didn't really care. I was a much better player then, and I didn't care about, getting advice from a caddy. It was different from the time we went to Mexico one time at San Miguel, that place. And the caddy on the first couple holes was trying to read putts for me, and he was brutal. I mean, he said, you listen. I said, no, this putt goes like 3 inches to the right, or doesn't it? He goes, no, the mountain is up there. Trust me. Left edge, and I hit it left edge, and it broke 3 inches to the right, just like I thought. And he did it for 3 holes. And I said, buddy, clean my golf balls, carry the clubs.
Oh, my God.
And shut up.
That's awful.
So anyway.
Did you tip him?
Oh, of course.
Oh, okay,
yeah, of course I did. I'm an excellent tipper. But you be well, actually, I don't know if you'll see anybody in St. Lucia, but be an excellent tipper when we're there.
I always am.
And we'll have our tips, we'll have our words, we'll have our beers next time out.
This podcast was made possible by our great sponsors like Easton Roofing, the presenting sponsor of Kansas City Profiles at the Danny Kling Scale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Easton Roofing, where integrity matters. We hope you enjoyed the latest Danny Kling Scale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Come back soon for something fresh and new.